All right, today we're going to make pineapple upside down cake. My grandmother used to make this, and I have not seen this made for probably 40 years, so I'm doing this from memory. My grandmother always made it in a cast iron pan, and this is a big one, so the cake's going to be a little flat, and I had to get a special tray to put it in, but let me check this out. Now, the original recipe was she'd make it, she'd melt the butter, and she'd put the brown sugar, and then she'd put the pineapple rings with the cherries in it. I always hated cherries on it as a kid. It looked like little bugs on it. And then when you cut it, there was never enough pineapple. Then years later, Betty Crocker came out with a mix, and in the mix there's a little can of crushed pineapple, a little package of stuff, and you made a little tiny one. And as a kid, I realized that crushed pineapple made the ratio of pineapple to cake perfect. So we're making the ugly crushed pineapple kind, so that it's got a perfectly pineapple top, and not the rings, but you can be artsy if you want to. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your stovetop and you're going to melt the butter in the pan. And you can use anywhere from a half of a cube to a whole cube. So I'm going to start with half of a cube and see what it looks like, but more than likely I'm going to put the whole cube in. Now, you could use a regular small cake pan if you want. Of course, you'd use the smaller can of pineapple. You could use a square pan, whatever you want to, but you're going to be turning it over to have it an upside down cake, so whatever it is, you've got to be able to have it manageable. Now, back in the day when you bought the mix, it was in heavy syrup. This is in light syrup, so I'm going to drain the syrup out of this and see how it goes. But when you have it in heavy syrup, if you actually use that in your topping, it's wet, but it kind of crunches it up and it makes the topping harder, and it actually kind of gives it a nice texture. But light syrup isn't going to do that for me, so I'm just going to drain some of the liquid out. Okay, so full cup of sugar loose. Now I'm turning it off just to let the butter melt and make this topping. All right, brown sugar is absorbing that butter, so we're going to do another hunk. Now we're at 3/4 of a cube. So let's see what happens there. And if my memory serves me correct, I've got this thick syrupy stuff looking down here. This looks about right. Okay, I'm going to dump the pineapple in. All right, that would be your topping. Now it's time to make the cake. So I'm going to just fake this out. I've got the rest of that butter that's in there, and you're going to need some more fat. So I've got olive oil, and I'm just eyeballing it. That might be a 1/4 cup, possibly up to a 1/2 cup of oil. To that, I'm going to add 3 eggs. Why? Why not? I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Let's see, like that. Would that be a flat 1/4? Probably less than a 1/2 teaspoon, more than a 1/4. We're going to start with 5 heaping teaspoons. Which, as you know, is not a lot of sugar in a cake. Now I'm breaking up the brown sugar lumps. There's a little lump in there, somebody gets a surprise, that's all. Okay, now because I'm a waste not, want not kind of gal, I'm using the pineapple juice. One big heaping, 2 big heaping. Why add sour cream? Richness, texture, fat. You need moisture in it. Gluten-free is pretty dry stuff, and I don't like to add a whole lot of butter and a whole lot of oil to it, and so I'm adding moisture to my batter by just putting in some sour cream. All right, now I'm going to do my flour. Again, I'm eyeballing this. I've got gluten-free and I've got masa. Masa gives it a really nice texture. Some people, they don't really like the taste of corn in it. I don't really taste the corn. I really like it in there. It just makes a nice heavy cake. And I like heavy cakes. call me crazy, which is good because gluten-free is generally a heavy cake. 2 scoops of that, that's a cup. I'm going to do 1 scoop of this, and then I'm going to mix it up and see what happens to it. You want probably maybe 2 level teaspoons. So you don't get much rise out of gluten-free, so anything you can get to make it puff up is great. And then I got vanilla. I'm going to put a teaspoon of vanilla in. That, holds a shape kind of on the top. You can see when you get to that consistency, you're thick. So you notice how the topping is coming up around the edges? If I remember correctly, it should kind of get crispy on the edges, which I used to really love. So let's call that good. I bake this at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. Then I turn the oven off and I let it sit in the hot oven for 5 minutes. And I remember that you have to flip it while it's still warm. I think otherwise the topping will stick, so I'm going to get something to flip it. And once you flip it, I'm pretty sure you have to let it sit for a minute. So we're going to just try to do this. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Boom. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for a couple minutes. I'm going to lift that off. All right. I heard it go chunk. It released. And this is what, I'm going to scrape this off, by the way. This is what you have. Ugly and delicious, just like I like it. Imagine this on a lovely platter and not on a pizza pan. All right, this is what we get. It's set nice. The edge is the best part. Yeah, okay, that's good.